The Emperor's New Clothes by Hans Christian Andersen. Many years ago, there was a grand emperor who was so fond of new clothes that he spent all his money on them. Every hour of the day he changed his clothes. Whether he is inspecting his soldiers, going to the theater, or taking a walk, the real reason he went was to show off his new clothes. The capital was a very lively city, thanks to the many tourists who visited it. One day, two thieves arrived who, knowing of the emperor's fondness for clothes, spread the story that they were weavers and that they know how to weave the most magnificent cloth in the world. Not only were the colors and the patterns outstandingly beautiful, but the clothes made from this cloth were magic. They were invisible to every person who did not do his job properly or to anyone who was stupid.
Such clothes are beyond price,
Thought the emperor.
if I had a suit for this cloth, I would know which men in my government are not fit for their jobs, and I would be able to pick out the wise men from the fools. Yes, I certainly must have this cloth.
He gave the thieves a large sum of money and asked them to start their work immediately. They set up two looms and acted as if they were weaving, although there was nothing at all to be seen. They constantly asked for the finest silk yarn and gold thread, but really they hid everything in their own bags and just pretended to work long into the night on the empty looms.
I would like to know how far they have got with my cloth.
Thought the emperor a few days later. But he was a bit afraid to go himself when he remembered that anyone who was stupid or no good at their job could not see the cloth. Although he was sure he had nothing to fear, he decided it would be better to send someone else to check the cloth before he did.
I will send my faithful old minister to the weavers.
Decided the emperor.
He is the best person to examine the cloth. He is an intelligent man and knows his job very well.
And so the honest minister went into the room where the two rogues were working at their empty looms.
Oh, good heavens!
He thought when he looked, and he opened his eyes wide.
I cannot see a thing.
But the minister did not say anything. The two weavers beckoned him closer and asked him what he thought of the design and the colors, pointing at their looms. The old man stared at them closely, but he could not see anything for the simple reason that there was nothing to see.
Oh dear,
He thought.
am I really that stupid? Am I really unfit for my job? This must never be found out. I don't dare to admit that I cannot see the cloth. It is beautiful. It is quite charming.
Said the minister aloud while he put on his glasses.
That design and those colors, yes. I will tell the emperor that I am very pleased.
We are delighted to hear you say so, said the two weavers, chuckling heartily. The swindlers then asked for more money, silk yarn, and gold thread. They needed a lot for this cloth, they said, but again they put everything in their own pockets. The looms remained empty, and they kept on pretending to work. Soon afterwards, the emperor sent another honest courtier to examine the cloth. The same thing happened to him as to the minister. He stared and stared for a long time, but did not see anything. "Isn't the cloth lovely?" asked the two thieves while they stroked and exclaimed over the superb design and the beautiful color that did not exist.
I am certainly not stupid,
Thought the man.
so does this mean that I am not good enough at my job? This is very tricky. I will have to be very careful if I'm not to be found out.
So he praised the cloth and assured them how delighted he was with their choice of colors and patterns.
No cloth as beautiful has ever been made before.
He told the emperor, and the story of the magnificent cloth was on everyone's lips. At last, the emperor decided to go and see the cloth for himself while it was still on the loom. Accompanied by a large number of chosen men, amongst whom were the two men he had sent before, the emperor paid a visit to the two cunning thieves who were still at their looms, busily pretending to weave with nothing.
Isn't this magnificent?
Said the two men who had already seen the work.
The design and the colors suit you perfectly, Your Majesty.
And they pointed at the empty loom.
What is this?
Thought the emperor.
I don't see anything. This is terrible. Am I a fool? Am I not capable of governing? This is the worst thing that could happen to me.
Then, suddenly, he said aloud,
It is magnificent. I am extremely pleased with it. Please make it into a suit for clothes for me.
he nodded in satisfaction while he looked at the loom. He did not dare to tell the truth. All the people he had taken with him stared hard as well, one after the other. Although they could not see anything, they repeated after the emperor.
It is magnificent. It is charming. It is delightful.
Everyone appeared happy with the result, and the emperor commanded that there was to be a procession the next day, at which he would wear his new suit. Then the two crooks were given knighthoods and received the title of gentlemen weavers. That night they sat up working in the light of 16 candles. They pretended to take the cloth from the loom. They cut into the air with a huge pair of scissors and sewed with a needle that had no thread in it. Finally, they declared with a great flourish that the suit was finished. Together with his courtiers, the emperor went to see the finished clothes. The two thieves both stood with their arms in the air as if they were holding up something, and said, "Here are the trousers, your majesty. Here is the jacket. Here is the cloak. They are as light as a feather, so light that it may seem as if you are not wearing anything. But that is one of the important qualities of this cloth."
Yes, of course.
Answered the courtiers. But they did not see anything. After all, there was nothing to see. "Would your highness be graciously pleased to take off your clothes?" asked the thieves. "Then you can try on the new ones in front of the big mirror." The emperor took his clothes off, and the thieves pretended to dress him. He turned round and round in front of the mirror.
Good gracious! How well it suits His Majesty! What a perfect fit!
Exclaimed all the courtiers.
What style! What colors! What a wonderful suit!
Then the chief master of ceremonies entered.
The canopy which is to be carried over your Majesty in the procession is waiting outside,
he said.
Excellent. I am ready,
Answered the emperor.
I think I look quite good in these clothes.
And he twirled in front of the mirror one more time to look at the splendid suit. The attendants, who had to carry the cloak's long train, pretended to pick it up from the ground. Then they held their hands as if they were holding the train because they did not want anyone to think that they could not see it. The emperor walked very proudly in the procession under his beautiful canopy, and all the people in the street and at the windows cried, "What a splendid costume! How gracious the train is! What a perfect fit!" Nobody would let anyone else think that he could not see anything. Never had the emperor's clothes been so admired before. Then a little child pushed to the front of the crowd. "But he's not wearing anything!" he cried.
Heavens! Listen to the voice of innocence,
Said the child's father. But soon afterwards all the people started to whisper and repeat the child's words.
There is a little child who says that Emperor isn't wearing any clothes at all,
Whispered the crowd. Indeed, there are no clothes at all! Everyone exclaimed at last. The emperor then felt extremely foolish, for he realized that they were quite right. However, he held his head up high and continued until the end of the procession. The attendants continued respectfully carrying the train that did not exist, until at last they were once again safely inside the palace. And do you know, the emperor was never quite so vain about his clothes after that. The end. Thank you for listening. Until next time. Bye.